Big story over the weekend in the NFL, though, was the rookie minicamps, as we could take it back to the present from the September future, especially those with rookie quarterbacks. The focus on in the rookie minicamps. Let's start in Chicago, where first overall pick Caleb Williams took the practice field for the Chicago Bears. Here's Bears quarterback coach Kerry Joseph on his new quarterback. He's talking about how he loves all the questions Williams is asking. He said last night, probably around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, he texted me, hey, why are we doing this here? Why are we blocking it like that? Isn't that his guy to block? He just wants to know. He wants to know those answers. Coming into this minicamp, he was light years ahead of the information that he already had.
I love that.
Yeah, right? I mean, that sounds great. And obviously, he's a first pick. They have high hopes for him there in Chicago. So today's show, we're going to dig in on a lot of these first-round rookie quarterbacks because they had the rookie minicamps this weekend. So we'll start with Caleb Williams. And when it comes to him, what should he and the Bears be spending their time working on this summer?
Yeah, pocket escape versus pocket movement. Now, that is a superpower of Caleb Williams, his ability to run away from defenders. But you could do a lot of that in the Pac-12. That is that beauty of the pocket escape where, you know, the athleticism, he's probably the most athletic guy in the field more often than not, and his patience to go and make something out of nothing or make something out of something that was there that was too little for him to take. And that escapability is something that is just a beauty. The question for Caleb is going to be how much of that he can actually do at the NFL level. Number one, the athletes are going to be at a much more even playing field. And number two, the schemes defensively are going to be way more advanced and specific to not allowing him to play in that way. So I think it's that learning of, okay, the pocket movement can be a little bit more of a central part of his game. Is he capable of it? Absolutely. Has he shown it on his tape? Absolutely. The subtlety, maybe not necessarily having to leave and run away, but just that slide, that one step here, one step there, and deliver the football to some of those dynamic guys. You never want to take the special away from them, so it is a very fine line, but I think that's where, if I were the Bears, I would dive into really in this minicamp, getting him to start that learning process.
Yeah, Dan makes a really good point. When you watch him here out, and I'm going to live on the West Coast, saw a lot of their games. Obviously, he does a great job of creating plays, but he needs to stay on schedule offensively. Yeah. He needs to play from the pocket. They can move the pocket for him, but he needs to understand you got to play on schedule in the National Football League. And hopefully the Bears will protect him. He was asking the question about why are we doing these different protections? Well, by the way, they gave up 50 sacks last year. So you don't want a young quarterback having to deal with that. So he has to understand the protection, stay in the pocket, play on schedule, still use some of his ability to move and move the pocket with him, but he's going to win from the pocket.
And I want to make sure everyone understands it is paramount. You don't want to take that stinger away, though. You want to coach him, right, coach? But also trust your instincts, trust your eyes, because you were taken first because you could do things that are uncoachable, but it's just that fine line of learning when and when not to.
I'll tell you what he's going to have that's going to help is trustworthy wide receivers.
Big time.
First rookie quarterback in NFL history to start a team season opener who has two receivers who each had 90 or more receptions the year before. That's, of course, Keenan Allen and
good place.
DJ Moore. Back on NFL Live, we're talking rookie quarterbacks today, and the number 2 pick in this year's draft was quarterback Jayden Daniels to the Washington Commanders. Washington had its rookie minicamp this weekend, and Daniels talked about soaking it all in.
It's been fast. Obviously, pro day, doing pre-draft visits, and then obviously once you hear your name called, everything completely changed. I was able to live out my childhood dream, being in the pros, and now I'm here. Now I'm be able to go out here and then dive into this playbook, trying to learn as much as possible, and go out there and try to get better each and every day.
All right, Dan, so what does he have to do to get better each and every day?
A feel for dominant defensive lines. If we're being honest, in that division, every time that he plays the teams that are in that division, his offensive line will be outmatched by the defensive lines, both by Philly, both by the Giants, and both by Dallas. All three of them. And this is an offensive line that struggled. So getting a feel, that was one of the quote-unquote flaws of Jayden Daniels throughout his last 2 years at OSU was, maybe hold on. Is he trying to do too much? Is he running around a little bit? Get the ball to your hands, play a little faster. And so understanding of how dominant those defensive lines. I tell people this all the time, Graz, and obviously he's a significantly greater talent than I ever was, but the biggest jump from college to the NFL comes from how fast that defensive line moves on a consistent basis, and just getting an understanding, a feel for that not all that different than the Caleb stuff, but how quickly those defensive lines will collapse that pocket on you.
Coach?
Yeah, Dan brings up a good point, but understand this. I know Jayden pretty well. I had him as a freshman, played for me for 3 seasons and spoken to him numerous times. He played in the SEC, so there's some speed down there too. Sure. But you're right. The D-line really, it's a difference when you get to the NFL. But for me, what I see Jayden, you know, for most quarterbacks, and Dan, you played the position. In college, you know, depending where you put the ball, there can be a wide side of the field and a short side of the field. A lot of the throws that quarterbacks make in college football are outside the numbers.
Yep.
If you're going to be a really good quarterback in the NFL, you got to be able to throw the ball inside the hashes. Mm-hmm. And the ball's always in the middle of the field of the NFL. How he does there early will determine what type of player he's going to be. I think he's going to be a fantastic football player, by the way. He couldn't have a better coach. And Kingsbury, and the fact that he had Murray, obviously he had Caleb Williams at USC, so he understands the ability of this quarterback. He'll move the pocket for Jayden. He'll let him use his legs as well.
Yeah, so, Coach, in regards to throwing the ball over the middle of the field, I know what a lot of the numbers say when it comes to his ability or willingness. I don't think those numbers attach themselves to the tape. I think his tape shows that he can and he will and he's very good at it. I think it falls upon Cliff Kingsbury to make sure that you're developing the past concepts that he sees really well over the middle of the field and a lot of those progression reads that get him from 1 to 2 to hitting some of those crossers or deep sits.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes with him as a rookie quarterback who had their rookie minicamps this weekend. Let's go to New England. The Patriots drafted Drake Maye, number 3 overall, and his new head coach, Jerod Mayo, gave a pretty blunt assessment of Maye's first full set of workouts. Listen.
Look, I mean, he has a lot to work on. He has a lot to work on. But I have no doubt that he'll put the time in. So, you know, I know you guys saw him out, well, you didn't see him out here yesterday, but, you know, he was here all night trying to get, you know, on the same page as everyone else.
Patriots reporter Mike Reese joins us now. Sorry, Mike, I had to lose the jacket. Orlovsky's here in short sleeves, so I felt overdressed. Anyway, Mayo sounding a little like his predecessor there, not exactly going easy on the young guy. What was the feeling around the facility when it came to their rookie quarterback's first set of practices last week?
So, Dan, I'd start big picture, you know, new energy. So I'll give you a visual. Practice was over, and Drake Maye finished his interview with the reporters, and Jalen Polk, the second-round receiver from Washington, was waiting for Drake Maye. As he finished, he goes, "That's the guy right there, that's the guy right there," and they're smiling, and they walked off together. So a breath of fresh air is sort of the big picture thought. But then when you look at the football, Dan, I would say it's sort of like before you can run, you have to walk. I was watching the practice, and the first drill they did with Drake Maye was having him take snaps from under center. And Drake Maye said that's something new for him. He's more about, you know, been in the shotgun. And then when he's in the shotgun, he talked about how Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, likes a staggered stance with the left foot forward. He said that's a little bit new to him as well. And so I saw a little bit of him, you know, just sort of feeling the new way of doing things, and maybe that led to a little hesitation, but I'd say he was upbeat after going 5 of 6 in a 7-on-7 drill. And I know Dan O is going to be talking about quarterback cadence later in the show. And Drake Maye said Jacoby Brissett texted him and said, "Hey, how's the cadence going, Drake?" Yeah. And so Drake's sort of feeling like he's getting into it.
Mike Reese really helping the show, helping us tease future segments. Thanks, Mike, for classing up the joint. Orlovsky, what do you think Maye should be focused on?
I mean, real quickly with what Mike said, you just get a small glimpse of everything that is going on for these rookie quarterbacks. They're changing stance and they're changing the operation, let alone the way that they play. I think the big thing for Drake starting in this camp, play from the ground up. He is such a tremendous and gifted athlete that he doesn't use his legs enough. He doesn't use the ground enough. And once you get into that comfortable level, that controlled level, you really start to use the ground and play from the ground up. His feet, I've talked about that all off season. They've got to get way more consistent, way more underneath them. That's going to relate to a little bit more of a repeatable experience. 2, for a guy that is as big and as powerful as he is, sometimes the throws lack zip on him, and he misses some throws that he shouldn't, again, because of his feet or because he's not driving the football. And I think for a guy that is that big and that powerful, once he learns to play a little bit more from the ground up, he will drive the ball through passing lanes and to the perimeter in a way that he never has before. And those are all the things that Coach Mayo is talking about. There's a lot to work on, which is exciting. And if the guy has the work ethic, he'll get there. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, and Coach Mayo brings up the point that, this kid's got a lot of energy, obviously, and it's work in progress. And he's seen work in progress before in his career there as a player with Tom Brady. And I think it's kind of ironic. You got to teach this young man to go under center and take the ball. You know why? Because he's going to turn around and hand it off a lot. I mean, that's what he's going to do. That's going to be kind of important for this team if they're going to be competitive in this division. If you're going to play this guy right away, you're going to have to make him understand the enemy is the bad guy. He's on defense. Don't throw him the ball.
Doubt.
No different when Tom Brady went in there. Tom Brady was not a volume quarterback. They ran the football. They played good defense. Mayo was part of that defense. And they have a good defense right now. They were ranked, 7th in the league? So he has a good defense. Tom Brady wasn't Captain America right away. It took him a couple years before he became Captain America. And all he did was orchestrate the offense, had a good running game, used the tight end a lot, just, hit receivers coming across the middle, just dinking and dunking and just making first downs. That's what I see this guy doing for the New England Patriots.
To Denver, where the Broncos this offseason said goodbye to Russell Wilson and then spent the number 12 overall pick on quarterback Bo Nix. Head coach Sean Payton was asked if he was at all surprised by Nix's rookie camp performance.
No, it's been exactly what we saw. The only thing I can think about that I was a little bit surprised is when we went to work him out privately and stood around him. He was bigger than I expected. But nothing in the last 2 days. He's doing well.
I would have thought they had met in person before, Adam. But anyway, what have you heard about Nix's first full set of practices at rookie camp last week?
Dan, by all accounts, he looks sharp. And I go back to Bo Nix's pro day when the Broncos were out there for that. And the night after that pro day, before they had a private workout scheduled for him the next day, they essentially gave him 3 pamphlets of installation for their offense and told him to learn it at 8 o'clock that night for 8 o'clock the next morning. And it was like studying for a final. And Bo Nix walked in the next morning and basically knew everything the Broncos had given to him. And then he went out on the field and performed. Similar output this weekend. When he went out there, it looked like he already had an understanding of that offense. He looks sharp. He looks primed to compete for that starting job this summer at training camp. Again, we'll see how it all goes during the preseason, but he has been remarkably sharp, picked up the offense quickly, looks like he'll continue doing that. He's a student of the game. He's accurate. They loved what they saw this weekend, and now the question is whether or not he'll keep it up throughout the course of the summer.
Yeah, this is the perfect quarterback. This is the perfect quarterback for Sean Payton. This is his Drew Brees, right? He runs an offense that he wants to get the ball out of his hand. He wants to quarterback to be accurate, to understand where to go with the ball. If you look at Bo Nix, obviously 77% passing rating. That's what this young man had. He'll get the ball out of his hand. He'll complete passes. You don't have to worry about that. That's what Sean Payton wants. This is where Russell Wilson struggled. He couldn't do that. He couldn't make the quick decision. Sean Payton will get guys open. Just run the offense. That's all you got to do. Complete the ball. Get us in 2nd and 4, which is a bad down for the defense. Defenses hate being in 2nd and 4. That's all he wants, so he can move the chains.
What do you think Bo Nix needs to be working on this summer, Orlovsky?
Ego.
Ego?
Yeah, ego. So his superpower is that consistency that Sean Payton referenced, that Shefty just referenced, that coach is talking about. Now, that's not who he was at Auburn. At Auburn, there was expectations. Highly recruited young man, father played there, and so he was always carrying that burden of, I have to go make all these giant big plays. And it led to all these mistakes. Now, part of it was, yes, certainly a younger player, but there was no consistency to his game because the expectations were so high, and he constantly tried to meet them on a play-by-play basis. Well, then the young man gets rid of his days at Auburn. He transfers to Oregon. There's very little expectation. People kind of forget about him. There's no familial tie there. And he just becomes this consistent guy. Well, now he's the 12th pick of the draft. And he's going to Sean Payton, who's taken a quarterback that wasn't maybe this physical phenom and won a Super Bowl with him. Coach is saying he's the next Drew Brees, or he's his Drew Brees. Expectations have risen again. Don't fall back into that, I got to go be that guy. Instead, tap into it. Don't get bored with that superpower of consistency on a play-by-play basis, because that's really what got you to that 12th pick, that guy that Sean Payton wanted.
Doing a great job handling everything and just enjoying seeing the process, rep to rep improvement, taking coaching points from Josh or Wes or myself, and just continuing to build on techniques, fundamentals, rhythm, timing, all the things that go into playing quarterback in our offense. And excited. It's just fun to be out here with him on the grass.
Dano, where should McCarthy and O'Connell be focused this summer?
Yeah, throwing guys open. Covered is open in the NFL. And I think the big thing for J.J. McCarthy is you want to throw with more anticipation, but it's really hard to throw with anticipation in this league without really high-end touch. That's not something that was a big part of his game. So the more that they can get him to say, well, coach, that defensive back is on that wide receiver's hip. Yeah, he's covered in the Big Ten. That's open in the NFL, bud. And you got to throw him to a spot that is going to get him even more open. And to do that, there has to be different layered and types of throws. And I think that's the focus, the starting focus point for them in Minnesota.
Well, he's in a good place because you think about this. He was coached under Harbaugh, who was a former quarterback. O'Connell is a former quarterback. So they both get it. They'll figure out what he can do well and build the offense around that. But you're right. He's going to have to throw it at different levels. He was not a volume passer at Michigan. They ran the football. They were a play-action football team. But I think this is a good place for him.
And the hard part of this all is you want to throw with anticipation, but that's a byproduct of touch. And that's really what they're going to have to. He's such a young, talented guy with a powerful arm. Leaning into a little bit more of throwing it to a spot, more so than driving it to where they are, I think is going to be when you'll see that talent start to shine a little bit more.
Yeah, it should be fun. Hey, this has been fun. I'm glad you got me dressed down. I feel so much better.
It's May, you know.
I got to say, though,
yeah.
I did the show Friday from home, and two guys in studio were named Kevin. And you would have thought they landed on Mars and figured out nuclear fusion. Today, two Dans, nothing. We got nothing. What are we doing?
What
are we doing?
We figured it out. We're making great TV.
We're making good TV. That's it. And you know what? They take it for granted.
Yeah.
There's no big deal.
We're not coming tomorrow.
Kevin's? Yeah, I actually am. I'll be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
You'll be back, what, Wednesday?
24 hours from now?
Hey, thanks for watching NFL
professional.
Live.